Good news for fragrance fans in the UK. Bon Viveur, the new release from Naughton & Wilson, is now available to sample at Fragrance Samples UK. Follow the link in the description to order your sample today.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So it's time for another episode of my most cherished fragrances with another fantastic fragrance celebrity. And today on the show we have the fabulous Monika Cioch.
Yes, well done. Thank you so much for having me. That was very good pronunciation.
I've been practicing. Yeah. It's great to have you on the show, Monika. Really pleased to have you on the show. And I think it's going to be really interesting to find out a little bit more about you. So as most of the viewers probably know, we ask the guests to pick their 5 most cherished or most loved fragrances, the ones which kind of mean most to them, maybe ones that had an early impact in their life, right up to the present day. Not necessarily the top 5 ones that you love the smell of best now, but ones that maybe tell a little bit of a story about you. And in the process of doing that, we hopefully find out a little bit more about you. So that, of course, if anyone has for any reason missed Monika's channel, there will be a link in the description for that. But congratulations, Monika, because you've got, I think it's 51,000 subscribers now. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I don't want to think about it, though, because like when I think about how many people can watch me, it's a bit scary.
It is, yeah. You get stage fright if you thought about it, really, wouldn't you? Yeah, and how long have you been doing the channel now?
For about a year and a half, I believe. So yeah, I started like winter of 2019, I think. Yeah, and just continued from there, and it just really took off, and now I just love doing it. And there's just, I think there's crazy growth that happened also with like my nose, just because you're suddenly exposed to so many fragrances. Even in the lockdown, I was just smelling everything, like getting loads of samples in. So that is, I think, what I've learned this year. I have smelled many fragrances, more than ever before. It's just how your taste changes, like year after year, which is great.
Yeah, it definitely can change a lot, can't it? Yeah, and I really think your channel is superb. A fantastic sort of level of production and visuals, and you yourself, of course, just a really excellent presenter. It makes me kind of want to buy everything you're talking about because you describe them so well. So definitely a channel that I think is an example to us all. And let's find out a little bit more about you then. So also very exciting that you've got 2 fragrances out now, Embrace and Carte Blanche, which Monika has not asked me to mention those at all in the video. But please, if you just show us the bottles now, and then we'll come back to those in a bit. Can we just have a look, because they're beautiful designs.
I'll give
on the
them
bottles.
a shout out. There we go.
Look at that, beautiful.
Yeah, I just love the bottles. I was actually surprised at this one. It's called Blank Slate. It was supposed to be white, but I didn't think of the juice that it's like, it's the bottle itself now is more of a yellowish color, just because the glass, it's all white. So I was like, oh, I wish it was white, but okay.
No, I think it looks really good. It looks almost like a kind of frosted effect, and really nice bottles. So we'll come back to those briefly in a little bit. Okay, so let's dive into it. The first question that I tend to ask people is, at what point did you become perhaps more than averagely interested in fragrances? How did that happen?
I think all my life I have been really into fragrances, and that demonstrated itself mainly in me just noticing different smells. For example, like my mom would always say, oh, you've got such a sensitive nose, because when she started maybe cooking, I'll be downstairs, I knew what was for dinner, for example, or I smelled somebody just walking by, which we lived in the capital city in Poland, and I would be like, oh my gosh, this fragrance is amazing. And my mom would be just saying, what fragrance? She couldn't smell anything. So later, I would smell all sort of different stuff. Like I loved the smell of fabric softener, for example. You know, as a little girl, you gravitate towards different stuff, and you're just like, oh, this smells amazing. So later I would just go to fragrance shops and just smell everything as much as my nose could take. And similarly, when we would go on holiday, my parents would take me on holiday, duty free, that was my favorite spot to just go crazy and smell everything. So I would just know all the designer fragrances. When somebody would walk by, I would say, oh, this is this fragrance. Oh, this is this fragrance. I would quiz myself on the fragrances. So yeah, that is how my love kind of developed. But I never thought I could do anything in the industry because I always thought it was so exclusive. And, it's just many French people get into it because of the language and they can just move to Grasse to go to perfumery school. But to me, it never really occurred to me when I was younger that I could pursue something like that at all.
Yeah. That is the beauty of YouTube and the new world that we live in, that you don't necessarily need a traditional background in it to do something with it. So yeah, we're both kind of happy about that, I'm sure. And just I forgot to mention actually, or to ask, so you're originally from Poland, and I now take it Warsaw was where you grew up, right?
Yes, Warsaw is where I grew up for 10 years, 12 years of my life. Yeah.
And then you came to the UK at the age of 10 or 12?
Teenager. 12,
okay,
13, yes. So I moved with my parents for work. So yeah, and then I just was thrown into the English school, which was a fun experience.
I bet that must be challenging. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and now you're based in the Midlands, aren't you? Is it Birmingham?
Yes, Birmingham. So yeah. Right.
All right, you haven't got it. I'm actually relieved that you haven't picked up a Birmingham accent yet.
No,
I think your own one works a lot better. Yeah. No offense to people in Birmingham. Okay, brilliant.
A little bit, but yeah.
All right. Let's get stuck into your choices then. Also, just before we do one last brief question before we do that. Okay. At what point then did you actually think, yeah, I can? What made you think I can do a YouTube channel about fragrances? How did you make that leap?
So it was actually thanks to my husband. We were just talking. It was super random. I watched Steven from Adolescence and Jeremy Fragrance. I never thought of that I could do anything like that. I just thought I'm not good enough. Like, I'm an introvert. I'm such an introverted person naturally. And I thought I can't just do something like this. But we were sitting with my husband one night and I just said, oh, I just love fragrances. I wish I could do this. Like, showed him some channels and he said, go for it. Why not? You're going to just regret if you don't try. And at that point I was researching actually perfumery schools. I was thinking, okay, what do I want to do for my career? And I was thinking either wine or fragrance, but I researched fragrance, which I was leaning towards, and I thought I can't afford a perfumery school. Like, my husband doesn't speak French. I'm not going to move there. So that was how it was.
Oh wow, okay, brilliant. Yeah, well, you certainly didn't need to doubt yourself, and I think that the way you present the videos is brilliant. Has anyone ever sort of said that you've got a bit of a naturally an ASMR type of voice?
Yeah, many people have.
Yeah. But it's having met you in person and we're speaking now, it's just that's your natural voice, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But I never, before doing this channel, I never thought anything like that of my voice. But suddenly I got comments, so it's interesting.
Yeah. But I meant it definitely as a compliment. It really sounds good. Okay, let's get stuck into it then. So you got 5 fragrances to talk about for us.
Yes.
What's number 1, please?
Number 1, I don't have it because it's a nostalgic fragrance. It's a fragrance my mum would wear non-stop. That was her signature scent, and it's Armani She. That is like a scent that it's a very soft, vanilla, musky scent. It's very warm and cozy. And when I smell it, even until now, I just think of like hugs. And it really made me fall in love with musks in general, how they make a fragrance so soft and inviting. And that is one of the fragrances that I absolutely love. And I wouldn't necessarily wear it myself, But for me, when I actually smell it, I cherish it. And my mom still owns it. She doesn't wear it as much because now I have bought her many fragrances. But whenever she wears it, it's like it's her for me. It's like I envision her. So that was my number one.
Okay, Armani She, right?
Yes. Do you know it? It's like
I don't. No, I'm going to put a picture on the screen, but go on.
Yes.
Tell me. I don't
it's
even
more
remember.
like I don't know if you can even get it now at the Armani store. It's maybe discontinued, but I'll share with you the picture too. The next fragrance that is very, very cherished to me is Hypnotic Poison by Dior, the Eau de Toilette. And this fragrance to me, again, I love it, but I don't wear it as much as I used to. But this fragrance is very special to me because this fragrance showed me what fragrances can do. It's like, it's not the loudest fragrance, but this is a fragrance that kind of, when you walk, it just speaks to you. That's how I can describe this fragrance. It just moves, it changes, the sweetness of it, the oriental character of it. I love it. And I can smell mint in it, which is peppermint, which is very fun to me. And it's one of those fragrances that I'll always have in my collection because it made me fall even more within like the fragrance realm. It just made me think of, okay, this fragrance is just going to stay in my collection forever. So this is my number 2. Number 3 is the first niche fragrance I ever bought for myself, and it's Tobacco Vanille.
Okay.
Tom Ford.
Yeah.
And this fragrance, it's all like melted and everything.
Melted?
Yeah, it melted. Candle got too close to it.
Oh, no.
And it just all like it smells of plastic, but I still love it. It's a fragrance that both me and my husband wear every winter. So if you think of a winter fragrance, this smells like us in the winter. Yes, and it's also kind of nostalgic because it makes me think of gingerbread in Poland. We have this special like gingerbread that it's not a dry gingerbread, it's like soaked. It's like a wet cake gingerbread that is very traditional, and this makes me think of that, and I used to eat it a lot. I miss this kind of cookie dessert thing that I had in Poland, so this makes me think of that and just of Poland in general.
That is, that's interesting. So I've kind of tended to think that is more popular as one for men to wear, but perhaps I'm very much mistaken in that by the sounds of it. So you really find that works great for you too?
I love it. Yeah, I think it's a very unisex scent. I think tobacco, many women can be put off by tobacco, and I do agree it's masculine, but I love men's fragrances. That's why I talk about men's fragrances so much on my channel, because I naturally gravitate towards men's fragrances. I love wearing men's scents actually on myself. And I think it's maybe to do also because in Poland, like there's so many churches, like whenever you go, there's so many like Catholic churches, and when you walk into a church like that, like the sense that you get, it's like a dusty, woody, incensey sort of heavy smell. And I always used to absolutely love the smell of churches. And that's what I kind of look for in a fragrance too, which is kind of masculine if you think about those kind of notes. So, yeah.
Absolutely one of the pillars of the Tom Ford private blends, really. I think it was one of the original ones, and I've never quite found that it's my cup of tea enough to buy a bottle, but I must admit it is truly a benchmark fragrance in that kind of style, and a great one of the tobacco smells that everybody has to check out. So yeah, a great choice. Glad you picked that one, actually. Just speaking of Polish gingerbread type stuff, you may or may not be surprised to know that I'm a minor connoisseur of Polish lager. Which,
really?
Thanks to there being so many Polish people now in England, about 15, 20 years ago, we suddenly started to get them. So I do love a bit of Zwiek.
Yes.
Zwiek. It's really hard to pronounce that one. Tiscay is also quite good. And even if we're lucky, we can find Perła or Perla in the green can.
Yes,
that is good stuff.
Yes.
So you guys actually, it's an underrated beer nation, I think, Poland. And there's a particular, you guys like quite a strong one, don't you? Because there's like Walker Strong. There's some really potent beers.
Yeah, I think every Polish person loves beer, apart from me. I hate it. Well, I'll drink it, but to me, it's not like a delicacy. But yeah, if you ever go to Poland, you must go and taste all the different beers. And in restaurants, they have crazy, like, big glasses for the beer and everything. So if you love beer, you need to.
I need to do it. Somehow it doesn't entirely surprise me that beer is not your favorite drink, Monika. But yeah, I just had to bring that in. Now, you have not asked me to mention your fragrances at all, but I'm just going to briefly go on to that subject now. So Monika has got two fantastic new creations of her own, which I think are both absolutely brilliant. They're really, really good fragrances. I've got a sample of each one, and congratulations to you, Monika. We can find out about those. I'll put a link in the description to the Navitas website where you can find both of these. We saw the presentation at the beginning. So just a brief word on each one. Carte Blanche, I think, is my favourite.
And we really should have mentioned here that the perfumer for this one is the world-renowned Bertrand Duchefort. The note listing for this fragrance is top notes of Italian mandarin, Sicilian bergamot, Guatemalan cardamom, and agreste accord. In the heart, you've got grilled almonds, benzoin, driftwood, and Java vetiver. And the base notes are Indonesian patchouli, Madagascar vanilla, Peru balsam, musk, and ambergris.
This one, it starts out fresh and there's some lovely citrus, but then it's not just like that. There's a lot. Is this the one with a coffee note in it too?
The Embrace is one with.
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. Yeah. I'll edit that part. It's kind of creamy. It's kind of creamy as well as being fresh. Yeah. Or how would you describe it?
I wanted it to be a fresh fragrance, but with a softness to it, a smoothness. So the woods in it really smooth it out beautifully. I just really like gentlemanly, classy fragrances. So I also wanted this fragrance to be timeless, not be something trendy. And this one was the one that when I got loads of samples from perfumers, this one, when I smelled it, I just said, that's it. This is the one. We can tweak it a little bit, but I don't need to smell anymore because I was so impressed with it. And in the air, I think it smells fabulous. So, yeah.
Yeah, from my testing so far, it seems to really last really well. So I feel like it would have a really nice level of performance. And I feel that is a very, I don't like to sort of focus on date night or compliments, but I do think this, if anyone wanted to like be popular and just have a great all-round scent that couldn't fail to be popular, but does smell really different and not like anything else, I do think it's really good. I love the name as well, Carte Blanche. It perfectly fits the fragrance, actually. So I'm really impressed with that one, and I hopefully I might do a full review on my channel too. Now the other one, this is not the kind of thing I normally am known to enjoy so much. Embrace.
The correct name is actually The Embrace. The perfumer for this fragrance is Sidonie Lancesseur, and the top notes are Italian mandarin, Sicilian bergamot, and Indian sesame absolute. In the mid, we have honey accord and coffee absolute, and the base notes are Virginia cedarwood, Haitian vetiver, and Madagascar vanilla.
Dare I say this is a true gourmand?
Yes, I think it's when people first smell it, they say to me, "Ooh, this is sweet." But if you actually wear it, it kind of settles down a bit and becomes a semi-gourmand, I would say.
Okay.
But it's still very sweet. I think with this one, it's more like a darker, syrupy fragrance, which I personally just love, and the addictive nature of it, the coffee, the honey, and I wanted it to be unique. So I think the sesame in this really makes it different.
It's got a sesame note. Okay.
Sesame.
Good.
So yeah. So it just makes it, when I smelt it, I thought, this is something that I haven't smelled before. And I really wanted my fragrances to be just different. And this one, I think, would be less liked overall, like by everybody. If you asked 10 people whether they absolutely love it, there will be some people that liked it, there will be some people that absolutely love it, and some people that maybe not so much. So yeah, I wanted to take a little bit of a risk with this one.
Yeah, I think that is definitely it could be one that it's either something you're into or not, but I think it is really, really, really nice. It sort of makes me think, I can sort of see an image with a really nice cup of coffee and then like a biscotti or something on the, and you have, it's like an autumn day outside a cafe or something. It's that kind of comforting aura about this one. Really, really beautiful. And yeah, congratulations. I think these really are really good fragrances, and I really love the names. And yeah, that is like a warm embrace, isn't it? That's exactly what it is. So yeah, it'd be interesting to find out a little bit more about those, and maybe look out, viewers, I may go in depth maybe about carte blanche on my channel, because I think it's really good. Okay, we'll move on, we'll press on. We've done 3, have we? We've got 2 more.
Yes, 2 more.
Okay.
So let's go to this fragrance, but not actually this fragrance, but the frosted bottle, Acqua di Gio. This fragrance is something that everybody wore when I was little.
You mean the original?
The original, not this one.
Yeah.
The original. And it's just something that even this does have a similar smell to the original. It's a bit better in my opinion, but still, when I smell the original, I just smile. That's the only thing I can say. It just makes me smile, because so many people in my life when I was younger wore it. It just was like one of the fragrances in Poland, at least, that was like a holy grail fragrance. Somebody would say, "Oh, what are you wearing? Acqua di Gio." Oh my gosh, like, you have spent so much money on this fragrance. So it was just something like that. It was like a status fragrance almost, which, every fragrance market is different, but for some reason, also, for example, my husband said that his brother still wears it to this day, and like wore it since he was a teenager. Everybody just seemed to love it. And this, I think, with fragrances, you just want to, sometimes what I look in a fragrance now is so different to what fragrances I think of nicely, because you get those memories with some fragrances, like this one, for example. You might not like it now, but when you smell it, those memories rush back, and you just get a nice warm feeling. So that is for me.
Yeah, I completely understand that. That's sort of worth more than all the fancy, wonderful fragrances in the world, in a way, isn't it? Because of the memories that it brings. Yeah, and yeah, definitely. I think it may still be the biggest selling men's fragrance ever around the world. And understandably, those fresh aquatic type of fragrances, they just smell really good. And if you are not massively interested in investigating the world of fragrances, stuff like that just works, doesn't it? Yeah, totally get that one. Great choice, total classic. You've got one more pick left, Monika. What's it going to be? So
it has to be this fragrance. It's a woman's fragrance, actually. Chanel Chance Automne. And I recently repurchased it because I just wanted to have it in my collection. This is the first fragrance, like a proper designer, not a knockoff, that I bought with my own money. So it was very special, and for a long time, this was my only fragrance in my collection. This is all I would wear, and it was my signature scent. Now I don't have a signature scent anymore. I'm sure you know. You just, when you have so many fragrances and you love fragrances, kind of, you can't have a signature fragrance anymore.
I miss it though. I want to have one again.
Yeah, me too. But this is one of those fragrances that when I smell, it's very fresh. It's kind of skin-like. It's soft. And it just smells beautiful to me. This is like a beautiful, nice woman that is wearing it. And to me, it also kind of smells like youth, although I'm still young. But because I wore it since I was, I think, 13, 14.
Right.
Then this was my first ever signature fragrance, and that's why I just want to have it in my collection. When I now smell it, it just, sometimes it's too much of a throwback because I'm a very sensitive person, and when I smell it, I'm like, okay, I want to focus on stuff today and not smell this fragrance and just go into like all the memories. So I occasionally wear it because it really impacts me when I smell it. Yeah.
Brilliant choice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of some of the ones in that line. The Chanel Chance range is actually really good. Eau Vive is also really good. If you just want a kind of fresh one, I would wear that. You know, there's some really nice ones in that range, and perhaps it's one that people don't always think of as the most well talked about Chanel fragrance. So I too had a Chanel fragrance for my signature scent for many years, which was Chanel Allure Homme Sport. And I can't really bring myself to go and buy it again now, but it, you know, it really worked really well. So that you can't go wrong with Chanel. And yeah, I get the memory thing is definitely huge with smells, which is kind of why we do this show, because they have so many memories attached. Well, Monika, it was absolutely fantastic to have you on the show. I think those were some lovely, lovely choices. It's great to find out a little bit more about your journey there. Congratulations with the channel. I think you will go from strength to strength, and I'm very interested to see where you go next, because I think for a year and a bit you've done amazingly well. So I think the sky is the limit. Are you going to just stick with the fragrances, do you think, or will the channel branch out, or any major surprises lined up you could hint at for us?
I think for now I'll stick with fragrances for sure. Those are my biggest passions. So I think I just want to keep my channel. I want to still, although I'm getting into the niche sector, I still want to talk about designer fragrances a lot. That's what I'm challenging myself to do, because I think naturally, as we smell all the designer fragrances, we as fragrance enthusiasts go into the niche sector, and I still want to keep that balance on my channel. So that is a little challenge for myself, I think, just to still find loves in the designer sector of the fragrance. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I totally agree. There's still good stuff at every different level. I still talk about cheapy ones for £20 too, and they can be just as much fun sometimes. And of course, yeah, the main person out there always wants to know about the mainstream designer stuff too. And there's still, if you really look around, there are still some great ones coming out from designer houses. So yeah, I'm pleased to hear you're going to stick with that. That's really good. Okay, I look forward to finding out more about where you're going to go next. Excellent to have you on the channel. Thank you so much for giving me time out of your day, Monika. I guess we'll wrap it up there, and we'll bid a fond farewell to the viewers. Goodbye, folks.
Goodbye.
Guys, remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. Bye-bye.